Hey, what's up? It's me, Errol, back again with another video. Now, today we're going to be doing some laminate floor in a small room. Let me give you a look at what we'll be doing today. Now that you've seen what we're aiming at, let's crack on with some underlay. What we're going to do today is underlay half of the room, and then we shall fit that half of the room, mainly because the room is too small to underlay the whole thing in one go. So we'll do half and we'll fit that half, then we'll underlay the other half and fit the rest. So yeah, the tools that we're going to be using today: the jigsaw, set square, pencil. We won't be using the guillotine today. We'll also be using the multi-tool to cut under the door frames. So on that note, let's crack on. Now that we've finished with all the underlay, let's grab the multi-tool and cut underneath these doors. As you can see just now, I almost forgot to turn the plank over before I start cutting under the doors. You need to remember that whatever plank you're going to use to cut under the door, always turn your plank over onto the back so that you can use it again at a later stage. And once you've finished cutting underneath the door frame with your multi-tool, I tend to take a screwdriver and knock out the little bits from under the doors. Right, now that we've prepared our door frames, it's time to actually start fitting some laminate floor. This laminate has a very simple locking system. I'll see if I can demonstrate it for you. As you can see, this system locks very easily. It's perfect for the DIY. If you've never fitted laminate floor before, this is the one to use. It's a very easy system to use. That little blue tab is actually what creates the locking system. As you can see, it's very simple. And now that you've seen how easy it is to lock, I shall crack on. As I said before, I won't be using the guillotine today, mainly because the room's a bit too small to have so many tools in here. So I shall be cracking on with the old-fashioned style of the jigsaw, which is what we learned to use when we first learned to fit laminate flooring. Now, as I work towards the door, I do like to keep the laminate as straight as I can, because it helps me when I put my finishing profile on, which will be a ramp in this particular case. Now, the way to keep a random pattern on the floor is your offcut goes back up at the other end. You'll notice as I place the laminate down onto the floor, I slide it backward and forwards in the track. That's to make sure that there's no debris in there and it gives me a perfect lock. Also remember, we are fitting a floating floor today, which means it's not attached to the subfloor in any way or glued, which means that we do have to leave an expansion gap all the way around. In this particular case, I've left an 8mm gap. There you go. Now we're about to start our last row before we move all the tools over. This particular plank that I'm going to put in is a 3/4 length plank. This is to continue our random pattern on the floor. Then after we do these two cuts down here, we are then going to move all the tools over. And do remember, we have no guillotine to use today, so we've got to use the jigsaw. And I'm using my toolbox as a temporary workstation to make these cuts. You'll see here that I've made my cut slightly too long, which means that my straight edge disappears, so I'm going to have to recut that. Before the days of the guillotine, this is what we used to do. We used to use the jigsaw, a set square, a pencil and a jigsaw was our tool for fitting laminate flooring. And now, because we want to slide this plank under the door frame, we're going to work from the door frame back up to the wall. Here we go with the sliding hammer. Whenever you use the sliding hammer on the laminate floor, because of the way it's made, it doesn't seem to damage the edge of the laminate. Hence the reason why I do love this tool when it comes to knocking a plank under a door frame. And as you can see here, I've fitted from the door frame heading towards the wall, whereas before we were fitting from the wall to the door frame. But because we need to slide under the door frame, it's easier to work from the frame back up to the wall. Right, once we fit this last plank in, we can shift all the tools over and get ready to do the second half of the room. Right, let's get this underlay down and get the second half of this room finished. And while he's finishing up the underlay, you can hit that like and subscribe button. What we're sticking down here now is the vapor barrier. It helps to keep any dust or moisture from coming up. Now what we're going to do here is work from the door frame to the window, whereas before we worked from the window to the door. But because we need to push the laminate underneath the door frame, it's easier to work from the door frame back to the window. One thing you do have to look out for as you open the packs is damaged planks. As you can see here, this one I picked up is damaged. Makes it very difficult to lock. Right, well I'm going to continue fitting the floor and you'll rejoin me when we get to the wall and need to cut down for the last row. There you go, we finally got down to the last row. So we're about to show you how we mark the last row out. Right, now that you've seen how we mark up the last row without using a tape measure, I'm going to move on, finish this up and get ready to fit the scotias. See what's happened here, as I am cutting the laminate, the little blue tab that actually secures the floor together has come out. See, I've got to put it back in. Now that we've put this last piece in, we are ready to start fitting scotias around the room. And don't forget, we're also going to fit a door bar on this one as well. Well, let's get the tools out that we need to fit the scotias around the room. Starting with my 606 nail gun. It fires U-nails and brads. And then we'll move on to my mitre box, which is that yellow thing that you can see on the floor with a saw. That cuts 45, 25, 90. And that's the main tool that you use when you're fitting scotias around the room. And there you go, that's the nail gun all loaded and ready to go. When you make your 45 cuts, if you just cut away a little bit of the back, when you butt the two ends together, you'll get a neater join. Now that we've finished fitting the scotias, it's time to fit our door threshold. And the one that we're fitting today is called a ramp. And it's made of MDF, and we'll be using two-sided tape to put this down. When fitting a bar this way, you do need to cut away the little tongue in the middle, and the reason for that is so that you get as much of the bar actually sitting onto the laminate. And there you go, we're actually finished with this one now. If these are the type of videos you like, why not check out my playlist? And check out this next video coming up. And don't forget, like, share and comment. Thank you for watching.